Hi, this is Sarah, the Stitchin' Mommy, and it's Monday, July 27th, and I'm here to give you my stitching update from the last 2 weeks. I was not able to film last week because we were on vacation, and we went up to the mountains and had a really nice time. Not a lot of stitching time. I did manage to get all my goals met. They weren't always on the same day that I was planning to do it, and one day I didn't stitch at all. The entire day, probably the first day in a really long time that I haven't stitched at all. But that's okay, because that's what vacations are for. They're for doing stuff that's different. We did some hiking and enjoying God's creation. My parents were along with us, so the downtime we did have was often playing games, which was really nice, especially since we hadn't seen them in person since all the quarantine stuff has been happening. So, well, we saw them once, but we weren't able to play games. So it was really nice to just hunker down and have fun and stitch a little bit, but not stress about it. So I have a lot to show you because I worked on a lot of different things. I got my bingo blackout finished and all my advent animals started. So my goals have been met. So now I'll show you what I've worked on the last 2 weeks as well as what I'm planning to work on this week. So let's just jump right in, shall we? First off, I had another question. I've showed this once or twice before, but this is how I count projects that are not in Pattern Keeper. I made this in Excel, and I have 100, 200, 300 on this side and 10, 20, 30, 40 along this side. And it's just enough space to tally mark 10 tally marks. So these numbers represent, if the block is filled, how many stitches I've done. And so what I usually do is I'll stitch a little, like a row, usually a row, because it's easy to finish the row and count it and go on and finish the row and count it. So if I do a row that's really long, I'll just do dashes. If I've got like 36, I'll do dash, 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 tally mark 6. And then I have these in chunks of 300 because the Enchanted Stitching Challenges group, their main, their highest goal for the weekly challenges is 250. So I figured I'll get, at least 250 and I'll have a 300 chunk here. If I'm going for the 500 stitch goal because I'm doing half stitches, I'll just confiscate 2 of these for one project and try to get to the 500. So yeah, that's what I do. Pattern Keeper keeps track of stuff for me, but if I'm not using Pattern Keeper and I want to count something for a challenge, I'll use this. So, and I write on the side like which project it is, because sometimes I'm going back and forth between a couple different counts at the same time, and I don't want to forget which one I'm working on. So that's that, in case anybody's curious. I just made the template in Excel, and I actually have it double-sided so it saves paper, and I can get through a lot of prompts before I have to print a new one. So the other thing I thought I'd show real quick was this is how I kitted up my full coverage pieces for vacation. I was very overzealous in how many colors I was bringing, but better to have too many than not enough, right? So this is one of the little mini floss boxes, and I was bringing 4 full coverage pieces to go with the bingo. So I pulled colors that were in areas where I could feel like stitching in. So this is the Quick Stitch Iris, this was Knitting Woman, this was Princess of the Sea, and this was the Nativity. And so I pulled enough to fill in each cubby nicely. I only got to 1 or 2 colors on each thing, but it's pretty. So that's what I did to kit up my full coverages for travel, because I only needed a few colors of each one. 1 or 2 colors would have just fallen all over the place. It was nice to have a pretty little display of all the options for me. So anyways, then I had a few different things to choose from, depending on my mood too, or what I was feeling like doing that day. So let's go back to the last time I filmed. Would have been a long time ago. Let's see, so I must have filmed on the 13th. So I would have stitched on the stitching shelf that day. So I did 146 half stitches on the stitching shelf. And let's see if I remember what I did on all these as I'm going. It's been so long. So this is a stitching shelf, Max Colors by Amy Stewart. And I don't think I did this for a prompt. I think this was just regular, because some of these, before I left, I was hoping to get a prompt done, I think, and I think I managed to do it. But while I was gone, I didn't bother doing any enchanted stitching prompts. I just didn't have the time to get those numbers. I think for the prompts, though, I was only doing a few, a lower tier goal. So I don't think I did a prompt for this one, though. What I did remember just now, so I had a frog on this one, which was sad. So I had a dye lot issue where I had stitched last time. So I went ahead and decided I would go ahead and frog out the old dye lot and just start over, because I didn't find any of the old one in my stash. So this is where the summer shelf in comparison to last time as a before and after. And as you can see, I decided to work on this blue shelf. So I frogged out everything that was here and filled it in with a new color all the way down the book. And I don't think I got to, yeah, I did actually. There's a second color in here too, but it's very similar. So that's all I did. Not a whole lot on this one, but every little bit counts. Whether or not you can see all of that is yet to be determined. It's really hard to see through this fabric, it's so thick. So I don't know if you're seeing everything. So that was a stitching shelf, and I did that for books. The prompt in the Full Coverage Fanatics Bingo. That was the prompt books. And one thing that was nice about this bingo right now is that it allowed me to get all of my full coverage pieces in Pattern Keeper ready to go. So with the exception of Love Letter, which is still not working in Pattern Keeper, which hopefully someday it will be, otherwise I might need to ask for my money back for that upgraded chart. All the other ones are in Pattern Keeper, updated, progress, everything's ready to go. So that's really nice. Whenever they get called, I can just use that and go forward from there. So that's a nice perk of just working on all of my full coverage pieces this month. The next day, oh, I must have done 59 stitches the next day. So total I did more, like almost 200. So maybe I did do a prompt on that one. It's been way too long to remember what I did before. So I have no idea what any of the prompts were for this 2 weeks ago. Then I started Bear Time Stories, which I worked on a little bit on Tuesday and a little bit on Wednesday because I wanted to keep going a little bit. Which one is this? This is my new start. I have a lot of rolls of projects. I remember seeing it here, but it's hiding now. Here it is. So this is a new start for my younger son, and we talked about it. This is a washed out copy, but here it is. This is by Randall Spangler with the little dragons. This is for the dragon prompt, and I'm doing it on 40 count, 1/1 half stitches, which is approved by my son. And then I was looking at the pattern and realized it could be kind of, I think I did one strand of color or something, and then thought, this color, I believe I'd picked like the top corner, the first color in the chart, and just went with it, and then realized that color was almost all over the piece. And so I thought, could be fun to do this extreme cross country, because there was the possibility of finishing that color everywhere without too much counting, long distance counting, without very much of that. So I asked him what he thought, if he wanted me to like fill in the sections as I go with all the colors, or do one color at a time over the whole thing. You can kind of see an outline of everything starting to come together. And he said it would be cool to do extreme cross country. So I was excited, because that's what I was kind of hoping he would want to say. So this is my start on Bear Time Stories, which I believe was probably also for a prompt. So pretty cool. So this is, you can see the paneling in the wall, and this is the top of a corner of the pillow. I believe this is part of the bear's ear already. So it's kind of cool to see it start to come together so quickly. So I'm excited about this. Next time it comes out, I'll just keep going with that color and keep following it around the pattern, because it does have a lot of areas where you can just follow the color and not have to count too far. So I'm gonna enjoy doing that. So now I have 21 full coverage projects. And yes, I realize that I am insane. And that very few of them will be finished in my lifetime, and I'm okay with that. It's all about the fun and the process. So next I worked on the love letter, and I just did that on the one day, on Wednesday. And I used my paper chart, and I decided because I was still using my paper chart, I would go ahead and just keep parking and block by block like I had been. I think I did like, I picked up a parked thread and worked it until the bottom of the column. If I had a little bit of string left, I maybe finished out the color. Otherwise, I parked it 1 or 2 columns away, which is very similar to what I had been doing. This was also used for a prompt for yellow, and I decided for the Around the World India, I don't remember if I updated that thread in Full Coverage Fanatics, so I have to make sure to do that. I'm up here, and so I had a little bit of yellow on that was parked also, but because Pattern Keeper's not here, it would be hard to go from the upper row to the bottom row and the page to page all on a paper copy. It's more tricky to make sure you line up right. So I figured I'll just go ahead and continue working in the feathers, in the fluffy bits. So there's a lot of confetti, but not too bad. I did 148 half stitches. So basically a little over a block. So here's where this got to on my one day. This was for buildings because there's some buildings in the background. Let's see, I guess I can try to do off to the side. I don't know how well you'll be able to see the extra I did in here because it's all white, grays and peaches and stuff. But I did basically about a block right here and a few random bits out here that you can't really see very well. But it went pretty well. And I do love how this is turning out, so I want to keep going with it. I'm just really hoping that I'll be able to get a working version of the PDF sooner than later, so that'll make this go a lot nicer. I forgot to tell you all the things. I always forget sometimes, especially when I'm trying to rush. This is on 25 count, 2/1 half stitches. Stitching shelf was 28 count, 2/1 half stitches. And I did mention the Bear Time Stories was 40 count, Vertical, 1/1 half stitches. Okay, so next I worked on the Three Sisters. And this was another one that I decided I was actually kind of in the mood for confetti. So I went ahead and worked in the background. So this is this one. This is a golden kite also. And I worked up here in the background because I knew we were getting ready for vacation. I knew I wouldn't have more than a day to work on this, and I knew if I picked a color in this girl's face that it would probably take too long to get it all worked in. So I just did what I could in the background, and I ended up getting 114 full crosses. This is on 18 count, and I'll do an upper before and after shot and then show you the whole thing later, but so that hopefully you can see a little better what I did. I put in a few rows right here, and then those colors, I think I just worked in until they were done. I didn't repark anything. So I'm pretty sure. And there might have been some that weren't anywhere close by and I just cut them off, but I think most of them I just worked in. So they might have been anywhere in this area. It's very dense, very thick confetti, but it looks cool. It looks like a foresty tree. Oh, and here's the whole thing just for fun. So that's how far I am right now. This is a very big one because it's on like a 30 by 36 piece that you would get in a tube at the craft store. 18 count, Vita, 2/1 full crosses. So again, I'm really enjoying Pattern Keeper with this one. As you can see, I'm doing extreme cross country with the face. I'm not doing one color over the whole thing, but I was doing one color over the whole girl. And then parking in the corner, but now I might just do less parking in the corner and just like pick the next color and work it, you know, like I do in other ways. Let's see, what was next? So many projects. Princess de Broglie, I worked on this, got 317 stitches, half stitches. So this one went pretty well. This one. This was a recent restart on smaller fabric because the new Pattern Keeper version of the pattern was very different and couldn't quite make it work on my original. So I restarted 2 over 1 half stitches, and I believe, yes, I did a color in the hair and in some more in the face. So I'll do an up and down before and after with this one, and then I'll get closer to her face. So I did a dark color that was in her eyes as well as like in the outline of her hair area. It was like a green gray, and then I started filling in this lighter yellow color, which is still on my needle. There's a whole bunch more of it in the face, but I ran out of time that day and I have a whole lot more on my needle. So I will I'll finish that another time whenever that comes up again. But I was pretty happy with that, especially for one day's work to get over 300 stitches. Oh, found my needle. It was stuck lower down on the fabric. Yay! I remember I told you last time I lost it a couple videos ago, and it was still in there. Maybe it was inside the roll enough times that even after working with it and everything, it still just kind of hung out there. That's crazy. Oh, glad I found it. All right, so next, Norwegian Ship. And this is the last one I did before vacation, and I did 2 days on it. 210 stitches on one day and 676 stitches on the next day, on Sunday. I think we were ready to go. Like all the packing had been done as much as we could, and I just was able to sit and stitch, and it was great. And it was in the background, so that helps too. So this is this one, another golden kite. First time in Pattern Keeper, I believe, working on this one. So let's see, where is this one? I did this one for 2 prompts. I think I did this one for ocean and for a mode of transportation. And the Princess de Broglie was a project with more than 80 colors. And anything else that I didn't tell you the prompt? Not that it really matters. Oh, 3 Sisters was humans, something with humans in it. And Bear Time Stories was, yeah, the dragon one. So I think the love letter was the one with buildings. Okay, so I think I got you all caught up in all of those. All the bingo prompts that I use these for. I did the non-counting. So most of these have anywhere, at least 100, I think. I try to get at least 100 stitches. My personal goal. But the counting version was 1,000 stitches. There's no way I was doing all of these with 1,000 stitches. 1,000 stitches. That just wasn't happening. So here's before and after of this one. And I think that turned out pretty well. Got a lot of work done on that. I can't remember. I think it's still a good amount of ways before we get to the beginning of the boat. But I got a good amount of background done. It's very murky sky. A decent amount of colors in there though. So I believe I was just working in parked threads until they finished up. And so all the parked threads you see here are ones that were previously parked. I'm not continuing to park on this one either. This is again 25 count, 2 over 1 half stitches, same fabric as the love letter. And this is the small version of the ship pattern. I feel like I'm blowing right through these, but there's not a ton of progress and a lot of projects to show. So that was, let's just continue on with the full coverage, and then I'll show you what I worked on with my Advent animals and the car stitching and stuff, since we're already on a roll with all the full coverages. The first one I took with me on vacation was Quick Stitch Iris, because it's for my aunt and I wanted to be able to show my mom what it looked like. And it's a nice small one. This one was for flowers, I believe, for the bingo. And that's what that one looks like. And I was able to start working on just whatever color I wanted because all the parking had been filled in. So there's the before and after of that one. And I stitched 65 stitches one day and 46 the next day because I wanted to finish my string. So I eventually got a little over 100. This is also 25 count, the same fabric as Love Letter and Norwegian Ship, only these are 1/1 full crosses. And I did a dark blue that was up in here. One string. And that's kind of what I figured I'd do and ended up, it just happened that way, but that's what I ended up doing on my, all the full coverage pieces that I took with me on vacation. I did one string. So when I had two projects that were 2 days. I had 2 prompts for them, and I ended up working on them both. I ended up working on them each only one day just because I ran out of time. So in order to know when to stop to take a picture, to do one prompt and then another prompt, I just figured I'll do one string for one prompt, take a picture, do another string for the next prompt. So that's more or less what I did. The Nativity is slightly different, but close enough. The next one was Knitting Woman, which I brought because it's for my mom, and she knows I'm working on it, so I thought it would be fun to show her where I'm at with that one. And this is 22 count, 2/1 half stitches. I got 212 stitches on this because I was planning to work, here's before and after. I was planning to pick out some colors up in here, and then I realized when I got it out, I had a long string of this dark color on my needle already, and I figured, well, I guess that's what I'm gonna be working on because it's already on my needle. I just went to town and got over 200 stitches, just back and forth, back and forth, back and forth. So that's what I did on that one. And then the next two are ones that the next one, I didn't get to it on the day I planned, the first day. So the next day I worked what I said I was planning to do. One stitch, one length of thread on one day and for one prompt, and one length of thread on the other prompt. This Knitting Woman one was chosen for the cat prompt on bingo, and then Princess of the Sea was chosen for, is this one? It's a Hade. It was chosen for something that lives in the sea, for all these sea creatures and mermaids. So that was what that one's for. And here is my progress. And I got 155 stitches with a light blue up in here and 190 stitches with a peach in her face and over here a little bit in the clouds. So this is on 28 count light dove gray Monaco, 2/1 half stitches. So pretty happy with that. All of these, it's like I didn't really get a ton of progress on, but any progress is progress, and it was nice to touch them all and and to see, get them in Pattern Keeper, and just love on them a little bit more. It's always good. Sorry, I'm rushing. I feel like I'm rushing, but there's a lot to show. The last one I took on vacation was the Nativity, and I left this one till the end because it was also Christmas in July, so I figured on the 24th and 25th it'd be fun to work on this one. And I didn't actually, the 24th is the day I didn't get a single stitch in. I even was not able to get my Advent animals started that day. It's the only day I didn't get my Advent animals started. So the 25th, on the way home in the car, I started both Advent animals for the 24th and 25th and got 2 days of progress on this one. This one, I had 4 parked threads ready to go that I was trying to get parked or get stitched in. So what I did is I chose 2 parked threads for the first prompt and 2 parked threads for the second prompt. And I got 106 stitches for the first one and 121 stitches for the second one. And And now all my part threads are worked in. So there's the before and after. I got a good amount more done on the wise man in his hat and a little bit of his face. And over here, one of the colors was up here as well in the palm tree. So there's that. Loving this. This is again 28 count Monaco 2/1 half stitches. Page 1 is done, and now I just finished filling in all the part threads. So now when I come back, I will start at the top and just fill things in from the top down. What I have found really seems to make sense with me is that pick a color, the next color, work it till I use it up. Pick the next color, work it till I use it up. One strand at a time. And that's kind of what's working for me right now, and so we'll go with that until something else feels like I want to do that instead. So all right, so that's all my full coverage pieces. I managed to get to every single one of them in the month of July, and it's really fun. So yay! I've got a blackout on my bingo. Oh, the Nativity was for a holiday themed project and farm animals because of the sheep that are in there, although I'm not in the sheep section. So also on vacation, those are all the ones I worked on since I got back. So also on vacation, I finished starting my Advent Animals by Brooks Books. And these I decided to start one every day for the first 25 days in July to go along with Jolly July, Christmas in July, whatever. And I was only starting one color. So I picked a color towards the top of the design and finished it in the whole design. So I had to pick something that had a medium amount of stitches, enough that you can tell which pattern it was, but not so much that it would take a lot of time because I still had my full coverage pieces I wanted to get to and various other things. So you would have not seen starting in on the 13th, I guess. So I will, let's see. This is hard to figure out. I'll go back through here, this way, no wonder. Okay, so go this way. Not that they're all that exciting because there's only one color done on all of these, but they are all started and ready to go, which is really a cool feeling. So let's start with Colin Cardinal, number 13. So here's that one. Here's my start. I did the dark red on him, so that's fun. Here is Cassie Cow. I did the black on her. Good amount of that to do, but not too much, and I was still at home for this one, so I had time for that. The next one was Rascal Raccoon, and I thought this was funny. Cassie Cow, oops, pattern, these are free by the way on her website. Cassie Cow is baking cookies, and Rascal Raccoon is stealing them out of the cookie jar. He has green eyes. I missed those when I was doing it at first, but a little bit. His hat and the cookie jar, the dark green there, is started. And then the next one is Gigi Giraffe, and I did the blue on her, which is kind of fun. I hadn't done that color yet. All of the Christmas lights, they were kind of wrapped around everything. And then Hamilton Horse, just did the darker brown on him. It was hard to pick a color that was in the top and not too many other places, so that's what I chose on him. Here's Remy Rabbit. I chose the light pink, which is also in the numbers. So he got his ears and cheeks and the numbers. These are all on 18 count light blue Aida by Zweigart. Here's Larry Lion. Did the dark red on him, one of the crowns, his mouth, and some of the Christmas crackers at the bottom. So that's a fun one. I believe this was the first one I did on vacation on the way up to our spot. Odette Owl. Got the darker gray color done on her. It's fun when I got to use a color that I hadn't used in previous ones before, because a lot of these are red and green. This one, not a whole lot done, but I figured I didn't have a lot of time anyway, so one of the main colors in his hat for Ethan Elephant. That's all I got done on him. This one, another one, not too much, because again, on vacation. Ping Panda, and this is the Santa Lucia dress that is Norwegian, that Rita Marie reminded me of what that was called. So I did the light color green on her holly and the candle. Yeah, she's holding a candle. Next was Alistair Alligator. I worked on this while I was playing Settlers of Catan, and I was having a really bad game. None of my numbers were rolled, as I was just sitting there. If you've ever played that game, when somebody rolls the dice, whatever number is rolled, that's the type of resources you can pick up, and then use those resource cards to play the game. I wasn't getting any cards. Like round after round after round, none of my numbers are being rolled, so I just kind of figured, well, I'll get my stitching out. So I did Alistair during the game. And the 24th and 25th, I did these in the car on the way home. So this one was the day late. The only one I did not do on the day it was supposed to be done. And I got the star. This is Deborah Donkey. The star, and because those backstitched strings, what do they call them? Tails, the star's tails. Those were not touching anything else, and they used 2 strands just like the cross stitch, so I went ahead and just did them. And that's pretty fun. And then last but not least is Rudolph Reindeer, and I used the light pink in the numbers, and then it's also in his ears and cheeks and nose. So there's that. All 25 of them are started, so I can use them in prompts. I can use them as travel stitching. I can use them at Christmas time to stitch on. Lots of different choices. So that's fun. I'm really excited about that. Got all of them ready to go. They're in order in here, but they're also, I have enough stitched that, oh, and I lost my needle on this one too, in the car somewhere. Oops. They're all in order enough that they all have enough stitched on them that I should be able to figure out, if they get out of order, figure out which one is which. So that's nice. All right, I also worked on, I worked on my Prim Stitch Club series, Prim Stitch series. This is the one for July. It's called Patriotism and Industry. And I'm doing this 1/1 on the called for Prim. It's Prim vintage cloth. It's 25 count Lugana in the color Prim. And they recommend you stitch 2/2, but I like my little stitches. So I'm doing mine 1/1, and I'm adding specialty stitches. So here is where mine is at now. Got a decent amount done in the car off and on while on vacation, and then a little bit again while watching TV last night. So I got one more specialty stitch in here. I did like a road stitch maybe, and got the white and red done in the flag and finished out the bee. So now I have the blue left in the flagpole, and the bee skep right here, and that's what's left. I probably have a couple weeks left before I would like to have this one finished. And I do think I'm leaning towards making this into a little doll quilt for my daughter to play with when I'm done, because it is pretty small and cute. I'm hoping the specialty stitches won't get caught on things, but we'll see. She likes that idea, and I think it'll be a fun way to use this pattern. So I also continue to get caught up on my temperature tree. I worked on it both Sundays. just the leaves. So again, just a half hour at most to get the leaves done for 1 week because I already had the branch finished for July. So this is where my tree is at now. This week I'll have to work more on the August branch as well because we'll have the first couple leaves of, actually if I work on it on Sunday, I only have one August leaf to do because I do it a day behind in order to make sure I have the proper high temperature. So there's my fairly warm month, but not overly warm. So it is summer, but it hasn't been as hot as it often can be. So maybe August will have a few more 100 days, but this is on 28 count light blue even weave from Hobby Lobby, and I'm doing this 1/1 also. I'm a sucker for the small stuff. It's just so cute, and I might as well do it while I can, because my eyes are not great. I have contacts that I wear all the time, so I see well with my contacts, but I know that, you know, as you age, it changes. So I just want to make sure that I can, if I have these projects that are tiny, I want to enjoy them while I can. Let's see. So, oh yeah, and then when I got home, I can blame Terry from Terry Lee Crafts for this one because she mentioned that I hadn't worked on my heirloom nativity sampler for a while, and that is true. I don't think I'd worked on that this year, and I'm hoping to get this wise man scene and all the corresponding bands done this year. That was kind of my goal, because that's what I did last year, the shepherd scene and all the bands below it last year, and these top ones was the year before. So I figured, well, if I do each chunk, I could have this done in a couple more years and then display it. That could be fun. Hadn't started on it. And it is Christmas in July, so I got the nativity stitching for my bingo prompt done in the car on the way home from our trip on Saturday, the 25th, which is, you know, the corresponding Christmas in July day. And so I figured, well, I don't have anything else necessarily that I need to work on tonight. So we got home in the afternoon, you know, had time to take a nap and eat dinner and had plenty of time to just chill and work on whatever I wanted that evening. So I decided to go ahead, pull this out, and do a little bit on it on Saturday night. So I did just a little bit of a start on that next scene. So here's this one, which you may not have seen. I don't know when the last time I showed this, so I won't worry about it before and after, but I just worked on this part down here, which is a decent amount. I did one strand of each color, the white, the brown, and the green, to get the first bits of that tree started, which feels really good because it's nice for me. Starting a new chunk is sometimes the biggest hurdle because now I have something to go off of. So I have started that scene, so that's nice. This is 32 count MCG Textiles linen. I'm trying to think of the color, silver, I think. 32 count silver linen by MCG Textiles. And I love the white that pops off of it. I'm using B5200 for the white. I'm using a DMC conversion for almost everything, except for the variegateds that were called for. There's a variegated Gloriana right here, Bellagio, I believe. And the dark green is Elizabethan green, also by Gloriana. The main brown color is Sable by Gentle Art. And I think that might be everything. Yeah, just those three. Oh, and I found another one that was had a Victorian motto conversion, so I went ahead and pulled that one because I figured why not. And then everything else is like the pearl cotton and beads that were called for that I got on Stony Creek's website. They had a lot of the beads that other sites didn't have, so there's that. So that's fun. That made me feel better about getting it started, and then now it'll be easier to come in and work on it again, off and on throughout the year, throughout the rest of the year, to hopefully maybe get that last chunk done this calendar year, and then I can do the baby Jesus scene in the bottom chunk the next year after that. There's Hardinger in there, and I've never done Hardinger before, so that'll be an adventure, but we'll see. So, I don't need that. So then my plan for this last 6 days of July, starting yesterday, is to work on Touchdown for my son, because his birthday was in July, and work on this one strand of floss roughly every day. And so I did that yesterday. I pulled a really long piece of backstitching color and didn't really think I'd be able to use it all up, and I didn't, but I finished backstitching the leg on one of the legs on Joan Elliot's pants, called it good for the night, and then moved on to my new start, which I'll show you in a minute. So here's before and after of this one, and I got his leg done. So his leg is backstitched now, so I still have string on my needle, so I'll backstitch this leg next with that string, and then I could go over here and backstitch him next, but I don't think I will, because I went in right before the video to Enchanted Stitching Challenges, figured I could try to plug in my projects for this week, and the prompts go through the end of July, so they go through Friday, and this could fit for 2 of them. Something that floats, the football floats, and something that will be treasured when it is finished. And I believe my son will treasure this because he had a hand in helping the conversion, and it's all him. He picked this green color. He chose Charles Woodson to, wanted this chart recharted, his number and all of this. I did a lot more alterations on this than I was originally planning because I wanted to make sure it was authentic for him. So I believe and hope that he will treasure this. And whenever he sees me working on it, he does get excited about it. So I'll use that for 2 prompts. So I'm hoping to get more of this stitching, actual cross stitching done, so that I can get a full 500 stitches in on this for 2 different prompts. So I'll finish out the back stitching that I have on my needle, and that will count for half stitches each. And then I'll move on to some cross stitches to get the prompts filled up a little faster. I don't like having to count the back stitch on this project because it's like stair-steppy, and I don't know, I'm not a fan. So I'd rather just count rows of stitching. And this is on 28 count light blue even weave by MCG Textiles. It used to be at Hobby Lobby, and now they have the Zweigart RT stuff instead. This is 2/2 full crosses, and so that's that. I'll work on that the rest of through Friday. At least one length of thread a day, unless I need to do more for the prompts. So we'll see. And then I had a new start yesterday for Joan Elliot July, which I'll be working on her yesterday, today, and tomorrow. And then I'll do my other Joan Elliot that I started in May, the last 3 days of the month. So I started Edwardian Lady. And this one I can do for Enchanted Stitching also for something that's green. No. This one I'm going to do something that is 1 to 10% complete, because it is very, very small start. It definitely counts for that. So here is my start on Edwardian Lady. I love this fabric. It is 32 count even weave by Fabric Flare in the color Fairy Mist. So it's turning out, it's really nice to work on, really smooth. I did 2 colors in the crown of her hat last night. And so this would work for a couple different prompts in Enchanted Stitching, but because Mayday Merriment might actually be closer to a quarter finished already, because the top portion I worked on in May had light stitching, I went ahead and picked this one for the 1 to 10% complete prompt, and I'll use Mayday Merriment for stitching in specific colors, because they both have greens and blues and aquas and teals, which would work for that prompt in Enchanted Stitching. So I'll get at least 250 more stitches on this one. Maybe more. I'll just work on it the next 2 days and hope it adds up to at least that much. I didn't count what I just did on this, so I don't know how much this is, but it doesn't really matter, because if it's not for a prompt and I'm not in Pattern Keeper, I'm not tracking it. It just saves me time. So my other Joan Elliot is the Mayday Merriment chart that is in, I have my version from Cross Stitch Gold, July 2010. And it was recently released on the Joan Elliot Facebook page as a freebie, but someone asked me, why aren't you doing the beads? And I realized the new version on the Facebook page has beads and this one does not. There are some extra beads that are like strewn in here that she must have added after the fact. Some of these things in their dresses have beads. I'm just gonna stick with this version. I like it. I have everything I'm gonna use. I'm content with that. I don't need beads. I like beads and other things, but I'm happy, especially since some of the beads were like onesies and twosies out here. I'm like, I don't need to worry about that. So I'm doing the magazine version. Now that I realize there's two different versions, this is the one I'm using. But I am also converting it even beyond this to only fancy floss. So each of the main colors in the dresses and the ribbons is, instead of 3 or 4 DMCs, I'm doing 1 variegated floss from my stash in a variety of colors. So far it's been turning out really nice. Oh no! I didn't get it. I'll be right back. All right, I'm back with my whip. It's one thing when I forget the cover picture, it's another thing when I forget the project, because then that's what you want to see. So this is done. It's a coloring cotton fabric, Spring Morning, I think, and it washes out when I get close. But it is a nice bright spring blue. And this is how far I've gotten. I got the top chunk all the way finished. So this basket is done. These strings are done. And these strings are started. Like they have like one string done. So this one is one for Enchanted Stitching. It's a little closer to the blue color when it's back here like this. Enchanted Stitching, one of the prompts was work on blue, green, teal, aqua. So I have more green ribbons. There's more blue ribbons. And if I need to, I can work in their dresses as well. I'm fairly close to some of the girls' dresses. So anything in this one that I work on this week will be in those colors. And so that'll be fun. The fabric is blue also, but I believe you had to stitch in those particular colors. So that's my Joan Elliot July plans for the rest of the month. And then we got started on Arbitrary August. And my original plan is, and I will continue to do this, is to spin 4 projects each week, 1 from each size category that I sorted all of my projects by stitch count and split them into 4 semi-equal groups and made 4 wheels from each group. So every week I'll spin 1 project from each group and work on those 4 projects. I'll have a small, medium, large, extra large each week. And I'm hoping that I can fit those 4 prompts into Enchanted Stitching and not have to get super creative with it, but I may have to, because sometimes their prompts are more specific than like your oldest whip or your, whatever, and it may not match with no way of fudging it. And that's okay. I'll do as many Enchanted Stitching prompts as I can, but my Arbitrary August focus will take precedence. I'll do those 4 pieces. Since Saturday and Sunday happen before the Enchanted Stitching prompts start and before I film again, I figured, well, maybe on the 1st and the 2nd, I can spin the wheel for a small piece, one of the small categories, and work on that on the 1st and 2nd. And then I'll start the 4, 1 in each category, starting on the 3rd when I film again. So I took a screen video of my wheel, which I'll insert here. and it spun letter E fairy. So she is technically in the small category, which when you know what I've worked on, that kind of makes sense. But it is funny how some of the projects in the small or medium category, you're thinking, really? That's medium or that's small? That's not what I would consider small. And it's not what most people would consider small. It would probably be medium to most people. But I have so many big projects that some things get in weird categories. So I am doing a slight color conversion on this one. My own colors. And when I've decided to go ahead and show this in the videos because it might be fun for the recipient to see it coming alive and see the time and attention that I'm putting into it. So this is where I'm at now. And the last time I worked on it, I didn't show it on my video. So I got the wings started. I got some of this middle stuff done. So you haven't seen that yet. But going forward, I'm just going to go ahead and show these. And this is on 32 count water lily linen by Witchelt. 32 count, 2/2. It's a nice pale green. And that's what all of these letter E fairies will be on. These are for my nieces. And that's fun. So I think likely I'll probably fill this in with the rest of her wing color, and maybe if I have time, outline the wings as well. So we'll see. I could also do beads up here, but I think this is glaring at me too much to ignore, so I'll probably do that first and see what other time I have left, because it is a weekend, Saturday and Sunday. Sometimes I have more time on the weekends than I'm expecting, and sometimes I have less. So we will see what this weekend brings. So that's that one that I'll work on for the start of Arbitrary August. And then going forward, I will do the same thing with the screen videos that I can just pop in here to show you what I've worked on. And then I can do that right before the video and then bring the projects on the video to show you my befores. So I can know what I'm working on that week. I'll do the screen, I'll spin my wheel, pull my projects, figure out if they'll work in a prompt, and then film my video for you. And so I'll know what prompts are going to fit and have things to show and, you know, all the good stuff. So that's the plan. Let's see, I don't think I've forgotten anything. Was that enough for you? So anyways, I guess that's all for now. I will see you in a week, Lord willing, and I hope you're enjoying what you're working on, and it's been fun to watch videos when I can. I haven't really watched any Flosstube all week because of being gone, but I'm hoping to get caught up again. So just enjoy your stitching and enjoy the rest of your summer or winter, and happy stitching. Bye.